What is the worst thing that happened to you in tunnels?
Probably the flood that we had a few years ago when I lost two of my best friends.
I'm back here in the dark, you know what I mean? Dark.
What is the worst thing that happened to you down in these tunnels?
I got attacked one time, like 3 Cuban dudes. One of the guys came in my spot with the damn machete. He was one of the top dog dudes. But I handled my own, so I had a basket and I took it in there, threw it on its side, stuck poles in it, made one of them little Maltese cocktails. It's the only thing that saved me.
"12 seconds after stepping off the Vegas Strip, I was standing in total darkness, and instantly I understood why people call this place a nightmare. My flashlight sliced through the blackness just enough to reveal something I never expected to see. Not objects, but homes. Entire lives packed into corners carved out of cold concrete, surrounded by toxic dampness, one flash flood away from being erased without a trace. And that's the moment the title, Inside Vegas's Tunnel Nightmare 2025, stopped sounding like a dramatic headline and started feeling like a direct warning. Because nearly 1,500 people are surviving, or trying to survive, beneath the brightest city in America. The question is, why here? Why underground? What heartbreak, addiction, loss, or system failure pushes someone so far to the edge that they choose silence over sunlight, darkness over danger, and a tunnel over the world above? Down here, fentanyl overdoses don't make noise. They disappear into the shadows. And the deeper I walked, the more it hit me. Behind the glamour, behind the casinos, behind the illusion of endless lights, lies a world most people will never see, but absolutely need to understand.
How long have you been down here?
Probably 8 or 9 years.
How is the situation here when it rains?
Horrific. Very scary. I've been caught up in it twice, and one of the times I really didn't think I was going to make it out.
What do you think about Las Vegas City?
A lot of it's almost like wallpaper, you know, like it's just made to look good, you know. These big casinos aren't built on winners.
As I went deeper, the tunnels started revealing the hidden lives America has completely forgotten. The deeper I moved into the tunnels, the more the air changed, heavier, thicker, almost like it carried every story that's ever been buried down here. And as my eyes adjusted to the darkness, one thought kept hitting me. Nobody chooses this unless something inside them has already collapsed. Up above, Las Vegas is selling dreams, but down here, people are trading dreams for survival, hour by hour, breath by breath. You start noticing the details: belongings stacked against the walls, makeshift beds balanced on milk crates to stay dry, clothes hung on pipes like tiny attempts to create something normal in a place that isn't meant for living. And it forces you to ask the questions most people avoid. How many of these people once had homes, jobs, families? How many were fighting addiction long before fentanyl turned every relapse into a death sentence? And how many just slipped through cracks so deep that climbing back up feels impossible? Because the truth is, the tunnels don't just swallow people physically. They swallow time, identity, and hope. And as I kept walking, I couldn't stop wondering, How does a country with so much light create places this dark and leave so many people inside them? The deeper I walked, the more I realized the tunnels aren't just dark. They're a perfect storm, built to destroy anyone trapped inside. The further I pushed into the tunnels, the more I understood that this place isn't just dangerous. It's engineered by nature and neglect to break people down. The ground beneath my shoes was slick, the walls sweating with icy moisture, and every distant rumble made my heart stop for a second. Because down here, one sudden flood can turn these tunnels into a deadly river in minutes. And that's when it hit me. People aren't just fighting homelessness here. They're fighting physics, weather, addiction, and time all at once. You start to feel the claustrophobia, the ceiling pressing low, the air thinning, the silence so heavy it makes your ears ring. And I couldn't stop asking myself, how do people sleep in a place where the sound of rain isn't comforting? It's a warning. How do they close their eyes knowing that one storm miles away could sweep everything, including them, straight into the darkness? This isn't just survival. It's survival under constant threat, constant fear, and constant uncertainty. And the deeper I walked, the more I realized this environment itself is part of the crisis, a silent enemy no one ever talks about. And then I started hearing their stories. Stories that explain how ordinary lives collapse until the tunnels become the only place left. As I continued deeper, the darkness wasn't the part that shook me anymore. It was the stories echoing inside it. Because down here, every person has a past that didn't start in a tunnel. It started in a home, a childhood, a job, a relationship, a moment where life still felt possible. And listening to them, you realize nobody wakes up one day and decides to live underground. It happens slowly, painfully, one step at a time. A lost paycheck, a medical bill, a breakup, untreated trauma, or a relapse that spirals into something you can't pull yourself out of. And fentanyl. Fentanyl accelerates that fall at a speed no human being is built to survive. People told me how one bad batch can erase a whole section of the tunnels, how overdoses happen quietly in the shadows, and how help rarely arrives in time because the world above doesn't even know they're here. And the question that kept circling in my mind was simple but devastating. How many people would still be alive if someone had reached them earlier, before the addiction, before the streets, before the tunnels? These stories don't just explain how people end up down here. They reveal how fragile a life truly is, and how close any of us could be to the same edge. This is where the title becomes reality, a true tunnel nightmare, built from floods, darkness, and 1,500 lives hanging by a thread. When I first came across the title, Inside Vegas's Tunnel Nightmare 2025, I assumed it was dramatic wording, the kind of phrase meant to grab attention. But when I finally stepped into those tunnels, when I saw what people down here actually face every day, the word nightmare started to feel painfully accurate. The first thing that shook me wasn't the darkness itself, but the warning signs bolted to the concrete walls. Signs showing stick figures drowning as water rises over them within seconds. These weren't metaphors. They were instructions for survival. Down here, pitch black survival isn't a catchy thumbnail phrase. It's the unwritten rule everyone lives by. The darkness doesn't just surround you. It presses against your lungs, creeps into your thoughts, and challenges every sense of safety you think you have. you start to understand why people call this place unforgiving. Because down here, even the environment feels like an enemy. And the floods? They're not rare events. They're a constant threat. A single storm, even 1 mile away, can send a violent rush of water tearing through these tunnels, turning them into a deadly underground river in minutes. Everything in its path disappears. Camps, clothing, photos, medication, supplies, even entire communities. People told me how they sleep with one ear open, trying to catch the faintest rumble of water before it becomes too late to run. Then there's the number in the title, 1,500. It stops feeling like a statistic the moment you walk through these spaces and realize each of those 1,500 people is trying to survive inside tunnels designed to move floodwater, not protect human beings. Every corner is a life built out of scraps. Every blanket is a shield against the cold concrete. Every moment is borrowed time. This is what the title warns you about: a hidden world beneath the brightest city in America, a world where survival is a daily calculation. It's a place where addiction mixes with danger, where fentanyl lurks like a silent predator, where hope competes with darkness every single day. People here aren't just fighting homelessness. They're fighting an environment that can turn lethal without warning, a system that forgot them, and an addiction crisis that's swallowing lives faster than help can reach them. And what makes it even more unsettling is how close this world is to the surface. Just a few feet above these tunnels, people are celebrating, gambling, laughing, and living out the illusion that Las Vegas sells so perfectly. Yet right below them is a reality the city never advertises. A reality built on survival, loss, fear, and an unspoken truth. Thousands of lives exist in the shadows, in a world the rest of the city never looks down long enough to see. But nothing prepared me for the moment I realized these tunnels aren't just dangerous. They're a silent battlefield where addiction and survival collide every day. The longer I stayed underground, the more I realized that the tunnels don't simply challenge the body. They slowly dismantle the mind. The darkness is one thing, the floods are another. But the most haunting force in these tunnels is the quiet. It's strange because you'd think silence brings peace. But down here, silence is a warning. It's in that silence where fentanyl hides, not as a loud, chaotic force, but as a quiet shadow that moves through the community quicker than anyone can stop it. People down here told me something I never forgot. If it's too quiet,
Someone's in trouble. And once you hear that, you can't unhear it. As I walked deeper into the living areas carved out along the tunnel walls, the tragedies began to show themselves in small, heartbreaking details. A mattress pressed against a concrete wall, completely still. A man sitting beside it, staring, waiting to see if the person lying there would breathe again. A woman pacing in circles because she had seen too many people fall asleep and never wake up. These weren't dramatic scenes. There were no screams, no sirens, no flashing lights. It was all happening quietly, slowly, almost softly. And that softness is what makes it terrifying. People told me how fentanyl spreads underground like smoke, invisible, fast, and deadly. All it takes is a tiny speck too strong, a pill laced just slightly differently, or a bag cut by someone who didn't know what they were doing. And because everything happens in the dark, there's no warning, no early signs, no time. One person told me, Down here, overdoses don't sound like anything. They look like someone just lying down and not getting back up. That sentence stayed with me. Here, addiction isn't judged because everyone understands what led people to this point. Trauma, loss, poverty, untreated mental health struggles, the collapse of support systems. Fentanyl didn't create their problems, but it turned every problem into a fatal risk. And the worst part is the helplessness. People who are already fighting to survive floods and darkness are now also fighting a drug that kills faster than anyone can react. They told me stories of waking up and finding someone gone in the morning, of rushing to shake someone awake only to discover it was too late, of crying quietly because crying loudly doesn't change anything. And the more they spoke, the more I realized that fentanyl doesn't just take lives, it takes hope with it. Every overdose reinforces the message that escaping this life gets harder every day. Standing there, surrounded by unspoken grief, by people who hold on to each other because nobody else is holding on to them, I understood something painful. The tunnels reveal the fentanyl crisis at its most raw, its most honest, and its most invisible. Up above, people hear numbers. Down here, they lose friends. This isn't just addiction. This isn't just homelessness. This is a constant fight to stay alive in a world where help arrives too late, if it arrives at all. But it wasn't just the danger that hit me. It was the emotional weight of a community fighting for hope in a place built for no one. The longer I walked through the tunnels, the more I realized that survival here isn't just about avoiding floods or escaping fentanyl. It's about holding on to the last pieces of humanity in a place designed to strip them away. People down here don't just fight the environment, they fight loneliness, broken trust, and a lifetime of feeling invisible. And that invisibility is what hurts the most. Because above ground, thousands of people walk the Las Vegas Strip without ever knowing that just beneath their feet, an entire community is trying to stay alive. What struck me was how hard everyone here tries to build something normal out of nothing. Someone had lined up bottles to create a small shelf. Another person had painted a tiny symbol on the wall to mark their home. A couple shared a single lantern because light, even a weak one, feels like hope. These gestures may seem small, but down here, they are everything. Reminders that even in the darkest places, people still reach for moments of dignity. And yet, behind those small attempts at normalcy lies a constant emotional battle. Anxiety becomes a daily companion. Fear becomes routine. Depression grows in the silence. Many people told me that the hardest part isn't the cold or the danger, it's the feeling that nobody would notice if they disappeared. That their life, their struggles, their pain, all of it, would vanish without a trace. It forces you to ask questions that stay with you long after you leave. How does someone rebuild hope in a place that takes so much from them? What keeps them fighting when the world above doesn't look down long enough to care? And how many people up there live closer to this reality than they realize? Standing there, surrounded by people who have lost almost everything, yet somehow still fight to hold on to the last pieces of themselves, I understood something important. These tunnels are more than a crisis. They are a mirror reflecting the failures, the blind spots, and the broken systems we never wanted to face. As I looked around, one truth became unavoidable. This crisis didn't happen by accident. It happened because the systems meant to protect people failed them completely. The deeper I went, the harder it became to ignore the real reason these tunnels are full. Not because people chose this life, but because every system designed to catch them collapsed long before the tunnels did. Homeless shelters overflowing, rehab centers turning people away because they're full, mental health programs underfunded, affordable housing disappearing faster than it's built. People aren't falling into the tunnels, they're being pushed. By rising rents, stagnant wages, impossible medical bills, untreated trauma, and a society that has learned to walk past suffering without seeing it. And the tragic part? Many people down here tried to get help. They applied for housing lists that take years. They sat in waiting rooms hoping for detox beds that never opened. They carried paperwork they didn't understand, made calls that nobody answered, and walked into offices where their names were forgotten faster than their stories. When every door closes, the tunnel becomes the last door left. What hit me hardest was how clear the pattern was. Addiction doesn't start in a tunnel. Homelessness doesn't start in a tunnel. They start in the world above, in households filled with stress, in communities with limited resources, in families fighting battles nobody sees. But once that downward spiral begins, there's almost no safety net strong enough to break the fall. And that's when the fentanyl crisis steps in, turning a system failure into a national emergency. Because when people are pushed into survival mode, when they're living without stability, without healthcare, without support, fentanyl becomes the quiet killer waiting in the shadows. The tunnels magnify everything: the danger, the desperation, the vulnerability. Walking through this world, you start asking uncomfortable questions. How can the wealthiest nation in the world leave thousands of people living underground? How did we allow treatment, housing, and mental health care to crumble this far? And why are we shocked by the crisis when we built the perfect conditions for it to explode? By the time I surfaced again, one truth was clear. The tunnel crisis didn't begin underground. It began with the collapse of systems above ground. And unless those systems change, the tunnels will keep filling, one broken life at a time. But standing in that darkness, I realized something even more heartbreaking. This crisis isn't just about where people live. It's about what they've lost along the way. As I made my way through the tunnels, something slowly began to change in the way I saw everything. At first, I was focused on the environment, the danger, the darkness, the floods, the addiction. But then I began noticing the details that revealed something much deeper. The pieces of life people still carry with them, even in a place this harsh. A photo tucked inside a plastic bag to keep it dry. A teddy bear hanging from a pipe. A birthday card someone kept even though it was stained and torn. These small objects hit harder than anything else because they remind you that everyone down here once had a life filled with people, memories, routines, and dreams, long before the tunnels swallowed them. And that's when it struck me. Homelessness isn't just the loss of a home. It's the loss of identity, stability, safety, and the belief that the future can still get better. Down here, you feel that loss in the air. You hear it in the way people talk about their pasts, as if they're remembering someone they used to be. You see it in the way they protect their small belongings, because those are the last pieces of the life they once recognized. One person told me, "The hardest part isn't living down here. It's forgetting who I was before all this." That sentence stayed with me, because it reveals something we rarely confront. The crisis isn't just physical. It's emotional, psychological, spiritual. Every day in the tunnels is a battle not just to stay alive, but to stay human. To remember your name, your worth, your story. To believe your life still matters even when society has stopped looking in your direction. And it made me realize that the real tragedy isn't the darkness people live in. It's the light they've lost inside themselves. The world above moves on, unaware of the thousands of lives that are slowly fading into the shadows. But the people down here? They're fighting for pieces of themselves most of us take for granted. In that moment, I understood. The tunnels aren't just a place people end up. They're a symbol of everything they've been forced to leave behind. And then it hit me. If this is 2025, what happens when the fentanyl crisis gets even worse? The further I walked, the more terrifying the truth became. This crisis isn't slowing down, it's exploding. Everyone down here said the same thing. The fentanyl hitting the streets now is stronger, cheaper, and deadlier than anything before. One pill can kill. One relapse can erase everything. And in these tunnels, where help can't reach in time, fentanyl becomes unstoppable. People told me how overdoses happen faster now, how entire sections of the underground community can lose multiple people in a single week. The fear in their voices wasn't just for today, it was for what's coming. Because if the crisis keeps growing, if more people are pushed into homelessness, if treatment stays out of reach, these tunnels could turn into something far darker than they already are. One man said, "We're not fighting addiction anymore. We're fighting a drug that doesn't care who we are." And standing there, I realized the truth. The tunnels are already living inside the future the rest of America is afraid to imagine. And as I finally stepped back into the light, one question followed me. How much longer can we pretend these lives don't matter? When I climbed out of the tunnels and felt the sunlight again, it didn't feel warm. It felt heavy. Because now I knew what existed beneath the surface of this city. A world hidden in darkness, filled with people fighting floods, addiction, loneliness, and a system that forgot them long before they disappeared underground. Up above, thousands of tourists walked past me, laughing, celebrating, living out the Vegas dream, completely unaware of the nightmare just a few feet below their shoes. And that's the part I couldn't shake. Not the darkness, not the danger, not even the fentanyl. It was the silence. The way these lives go unseen, unheard, uncounted. Because the truth is simple but impossible to ignore. If we don't talk about this, nothing will change. If we don't look down, we'll never see who needs help. And if we keep pretending this crisis isn't ours to face, the tunnels will continue to fill, one broken life at a time. So the question isn't whether this is happening. The question is, how long are we willing to look away? If this story opened your eyes, if it made you think, feel, or see the world differently, then I ask you to stay with me on this journey. These voices, these lives, these hidden realities deserve to be seen, and together, we can bring them into the light. So please, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and share this video with someone who needs to understand what's happening beneath the surface of America. Your support doesn't just help the channel, it helps these stories reach the people who can make a difference. Thank you for watching. And until the next documentary, remember, awareness is the first step toward change. Stay safe, stay kind, and I'll see you in the next video.